Welcome to The Awakened Heart, a podcast for healing women, a space where your voice matters, your body is sacred, and your journey home to yourself is honored no matter how winding the road. I'm Autumn Moran, licensed professional counselor, a life coach, yoga instructor, and ultimately your companion on this divine path we call healing. I'm going to make a statement. I don't know how the end result is going to be. My house is full with kiddos and it might be some background noise, and I've tried to minimize it as much as possible, but this is my real life and I don't have a fancy studio, so forgive me if you hear background noises. All right, all that aside, I'm glad you're here. If you're listening to this, you've likely been carrying something heavy. A particular kind of pain that lives in the space between who you truly are and who the world has told you should be for a long freaking time. This pain has a name, and today I want to speak about it and I want to bring it gently into light. So let's just take a moment, wherever you are, if you can, if it's accessible, place both hands on your heart. Feel that steady rhythm. That right there, my dear, is your life force, your truth, beating strong and constant. No matter what anyone ever has told you about who you are or how you should exist in this world, know that you are an amazing, beautiful soul whose authentic self is desperately needed in this world. All right. Because today, my dears, we're diving deep into the trauma of being told in 1,000 different ways that you are too much, too sensitive, too intense, too emotional, too loud, too quiet, too needy, too picky, too particular, too different, a drama queen. Just ultimately just been told you're too you. If you've ever been told you're too much, if you've spent your life trying to shrink yourself into shapes that don't fit, if you've ever wondered why you can't just be quote unquote fucking normal like everyone else seems to be, this episode is for you. And I want you to know right from the beginning, you are not alone, you are not broken, and you certainly have never been and never will be and are not too much. You are exactly, precisely, beautifully enough just as you are, who you are to your core. So I want to share my experience. Between the ages of 35 and 40, I discovered my neurodivergence. ADHD came first, autism came second. Suddenly and slowly, a lifetime of being told I was too much began to make sense in an entirely different way. Because for decades, I had internalized the message that my experience of the world was wrong. My need for routine wasn't flexible, it was just too rigid. My deep focus wasn't passion, it was obsession. My emotional responses weren't authentic, they were over the top, they were too much. My need for processing time wasn't thoughtfulness, it was taking too much time. Hurry up, figure it out. When we're told we're too much, we're often being told that our nervous system, our brain, our very neurobiology is somehow wrong or inappropriate. So I want to talk about what's actually happening in our bodies and brains when we receive these messages. When a child or even an adult is repeatedly told they're too much, your nervous system learns that your natural state is dangerous, that showing up authentically threatens your connection to the people that you need to survive and love. And this creates what is called a core wound, a deep belief that who you are at your essence is unacceptable. Our nervous system then organizes around protection. We develop what is called dimming strategies, like ways of making ourselves smaller, quieter, just less us. And these messages can be incredibly devastating because we're not just being told to change our behavior. We're being told to change our fundamental neurological wiring, and who we are at our core. So, like, if you're autistic, you might stim to regulate your nervous system, but you're told that's weird or inappropriate. If you have ADHD, you might need to move to think, but you're told to sit still and focus. If you're highly sensitive, you might feel overwhelmed in loud environments, but you're told you're being difficult. You're being too sensitive. Calm down. And what happens then? We learn to mask. We learn to perform a version of ourselves that's more palatable to others. But masking comes with a tremendous cost. It disconnects us from our authentic selves and keeps our nervous system in a constant state of hypervigilance. So let me paint a picture. So little Sarah is autistic, though no one knows it yet. She's 8 years old. She's fascinated by butterflies. She knows everything about butterflies, their life cycles, their migration patterns, their wing structures. When she talks about butterflies, her whole face lights up. Her hands move expressively. Her voice gets louder with excitement. But the adults around Sarah have learned that children should be well behaved, which means quiet, contained, not too enthusiastic about anything. Some of us got the messaging that you should be seen and not heard. Oof. So they say things like, Sarah, you're being too loud. Not everyone wants to hear about your butterflies all the time. You need to learn to talk about other things. You're obsessed. It's not healthy. So what happens to Sarah's nervous system? She learns that her joy is too much. Her passion, her way of loving the world is too much. So she dims her light. She stops talking about butterflies. She learns to small talk instead of sharing what truly excites her. She develops her social scripts. So by the time Sarah is an adult, she's so freaking disconnected from her authentic self that she doesn't even remember what it feels like to be genuinely excited about anything. She learned to be appropriate, but she's lost her spark. I feel this. The feeling of losing your spark can be so fucking sad. Kind of like a shell of who you once were before the world told you everything about you was wrong. Makes me angry, so fuck all that. Throw that all in the fuck it bucket. Chuck it in the fuck it bucket. This is the particular tragedy of telling neurodivergent children they're too much. You're not just modifying the behavior. You're asking the child, the adult, to betray their neurology. You're asking them to be something they're fundamentally not. Neurodivergent or not, anyone can receive the message that they're too much, especially if you feel emotions deeply, if you need more reassurance and connection than others, ask too many questions, challenge authority or tradition, need more time to process information, and so many other things. The common thread, though, is somewhere along the way, you learn that your natural way of being in the world was unacceptable. And that learning happened during crucial developmental periods when your brain was literally forming its understanding of self and safety. This is why healing from the too much trauma requires more than just changing your thoughts. It requires rewiring your nervous system's understanding of what's safe, what's acceptable, and what's worthy of love. All right, sis, if you're sitting here thinking, oh my God, this is me, this is my story, I want you to take a deep breath. I'm going to take a deep breath too. Let's breathe. Inhale it in, let it out through the mouth. What you're feeling right now might be grief. Grief for the child who learned to hide, for all the years you spent trying to be someone you're not, and grief for just losing touch with your authentic self. And this grief is sacred. It's your heart recognizing truth. Let that move through you. You don't have to fix it or change it or make it feel better right now. Just be its witness. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward freedom. You can't heal what you can't see. So now that you can see the pattern of dimming, shrinking, or making yourself smaller, you can begin the beautiful, challenging work of coming back home to yourself. or just coming home to yourself, right? It's okay if it's not about latching on to what your favorite hyper focus was or passion as a child. Find a new one if that one doesn't resonate, but it's all about coming to yourself, being home with yourself. So, what are some ways that too much messaging shows up? There are several ways, and I want to break it down. First off, we have a sensitive soul. This is someone who feels everything more deeply. It's when you worry about hurt animals, you can sense when others are upset, even when they're pretending everything is fine. When you notice the shifts in the room and moods and tones, you notice change, you notice discomfort just as much as the happiness. You notice, you feel. This is what is called sensory processing sensitivity. This is a trait found in about 20% of the population. So you're not alone. There's a big group. But instead of being celebrated, you're often told you're too sensitive. You need to toughen up. Don't be so nice. You're too emotional. Not everything is about you. You take things too personally. Blah, 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 blah. And what your nervous system learned? Feeling deeply is dangerous. Being open to the world is unsafe. Your emotional responses are wrong. So maybe you've become hypervigilant, constantly scanning environments for threat to your sensitive system. Maybe you learn to intellectualize your emotions, staying in your head instead of your heart. Maybe you became a people pleaser or perfectionist. We have the neurodivergent experience, which is mainly to all of us as an audience. I like to assume we're all neurodivergent, but if you're not, I like to explain it individually. You're too loud. I've heard this so many times in my life. I've had people get mad at me in the workplace because I laugh too much. Mind you, my work was always done. My workspace was always neat and tidy, and I most likely was helping my coworkers with their overflow work. But I was forced to be robotic, small and quiet in this workspace. I couldn't be myself. It was too much for them to handle. It was always confusing to me how someone would get mad because their employees were having a good time. Like, you don't want your staff to be happy. You would rather them feel shitty. What is that? I could go on and on, right? So I've been there, done that. I'm way too loud. I laugh too loudly. Even sometimes today when I give myself good gut laughs, I have to make sure I'm okay. Like, sometimes I'm still masking because of the messaging that, oh, you need to be quiet and small. Oh, fuck that. So I made my own workplace, and now I'm my own boss. And one day I hope to create a business where my employees have fun, laugh a lot, and can be themselves. I had to make the change. I had to be the change I wanted to see. This podcast is me being too much. This is me sharing my experience, unmasking and having faith that my voice, no matter how loud I get, matters and is needed in the world. This is my way of helping you see that it is possible to start from absolutely zero support and create a life that you don't want to escape from, one that brings you immense joy every single day. Is it easy? Does it happen overnight? Absolutely fucking not. It's hard fucking work. But I like to say, choose your hard. You can stay where you are, and it's going to be fucking hard. Or you can rise above and create your own, and it's going to be hard. Either way, it's hard. Just choose the hard that's going to get you to where you want to be. Okay, so all this messaging, stop fidgeting. You need to make eye contact. You're too picky. You're too obsessed. You're too loud. This is particularly damaging for someone being told that your fundamental neurological wiring, things you cannot change, are wrong. It's like being told your eye color or your height is inappropriate. And this is where masking comes in. This is where you begin to suppress your natural behaviors to appear more neurotypical. And then maybe you're the intense one. Maybe you're told Maybe you were told as a child that you had big emotions, strong opinions, passionate responses. When you loved something, you loved it. When you were angry, everyone knew it. When you were excited, you couldn't contain it. So you were too dramatic. You're being too much. Calm down. You're too intense. Why can't you just be normal? Again, you learn that your fire was something to contain, not something to celebrate. You might have been overly controlled, carefully monitoring your reactions. You might have become overly controlling, my bad, and carefully monitoring your reactions. Or you might have swung the other freaking direction and felt ashamed of your intensity and acting out in ways that confirmed everyone's belief that you were too much. What about the questioner? Maybe you were the child who needed to understand why. Maybe you still need to understand why. You can't just accept because I said so. You asked difficult questions. You challenged unfair rules. But questioning authority makes adults uncomfortable, especially if they're operating from unhealed trauma themselves. So you heard, you're asking too many questions. You're too argumentative. Stop talking back. Don't be stubborn. You think you know everything. Please quit being so difficult. Just smile and be nice. Don't ask them any questions. So you learn that your curiosity was annoying. Your intelligence was threatening. Your need for understanding was burdensome. You might have learned to accept things without question, dimming your natural critical thinking abilities. Or you might have become rebellious in ways that were destructive rather than constructive. I can remember my family having conversations in front of me when I was a kid, and I would ask questions and need to clarify on something that just immediately made no sense to me. And I just was met with messaging that I was difficult, messaging that I was nosy, messaging that I was too big for my britches. And it was like, I'm not the one having the conversation in front of me, grown people. If you're going to have a conversation in front of me, then let me talk about it. I have questions too. I'm a human. Again, be seen, not heard. The connection seeker, right? Maybe you were the child who needed more time, more attention, more reassurance, more connection. You wanted to spend time with people you loved. But needing connection can feel overwhelming to adults who learn to be self-sufficient at a young age. So you heard you're too needy, you're too clingy, you need to learn to be a little more independent. Don't be a baby. It's okay. Get over it. You're exhausting me. You're overwhelming me. You learn that your need for love and connection was a burden, not a beautiful human requirement. So you might have become fiercely independent, never asking for help even when you needed it. Or you might have developed anxious attachment patterns, always worried that your needs would drive people away. And then we have the creative dreamer. Maybe you were the child with big dreams, unconventional goals, and a vision that didn't match what others expected of you. You wanted to be a performer, an artist, a business owner, an activist. You saw possibilities that others couldn't see. But those dreams didn't fit the conventional molds, and that can feel threatening to adults who've learned to play it safe. You need to be more realistic. You can't make a living doing that. You're too ambitious. You're setting yourself up for failure. You need to be more practical. I've been told so many times that my dreams are unattainable. I've been told by people that I thought were my mentors, bosses that I thought genuinely cared for my well-being, to discourage me and do anything but encourage me to rise above, do better, go my own path. I was told, you'll be back. You won't make it. Most people don't. Fuck you. So, as the creative dreamer, right? You've learned that your vision was foolish. Your dreams were impractical. You might have abandoned your dreams entirely, choosing safe paths that felt soul-crushing. Or you might have pursued your dreams but carried deep shame about wanting too much from life. So do you find yourself thinking, that's me, but that's also me, and that one too, I hear a little bit of that? That's because these aren't mutually exclusive categories. Many of us carry multiple versions of the too much wound. The intersections of these experiences can create unique combinations of wounding and also unique combinations of gifts. Every single one of these too much traits I've described, these are not flaws. These are features. These are gifts that the world desperately needs. The problem was never you. The problem has been the world that had learned to fear authentic expression, deep feeling, and genuine aliveness. I want you to think about your own too much story. What were the messages you received? What parts of yourself did you learn to hide? I don't want you to fix it. I don't want you to change it. Just notice it. What comes up? What are you feeling? Place your hand on your heart if you are accessible. And I'd like you to say to yourself, I see you. I see the child who learned to hide. I see the pain you've been carrying. And you're never too much. You are exactly enough just as you are. The work isn't to get rid of these traits, it's to reclaim them, to learn that you were never the problem. But before we can reclaim these gifts, we need to understand what happened to us on a deeper level. We need to understand the trauma, right? When we talk about trauma, we're not just talking about big dramatic events. We're also talking about small t trauma, the accumulation of experiences that teach us that who we are is not safe, not acceptable, not lovable. Being repeatedly told you're too much is a form of developmental trauma. It happens during crucial periods when your brain and nervous system are forming their understanding of safety, connection, and self-worth. Many of us with the too much trauma develop adaptive strategies that have helped us survive but no longer serve us. That's masking. You learn to suppress your natural behaviors and mimic neurotypical behaviors. You shapeshift. You become so good at reading what others want that you automatically adjust yourself to match. Chronically self-editing. Before you speak, before you act, before you express any need or preference, you run it through a filter. Is it too much? Will this bother someone? Should I make myself smaller? And hyper-responsibility. You take responsibility for everyone else's emotions and comfort, believing that if you just manage yourself perfectly, you won't be too much for anyone else. And this kind of trauma creates attachment wounds. These are injuries that your ability to be authentic in relationships while maintaining connections. I'm going to mess that up. These are injuries to your ability to create authentic connection in relationships. If you show up authentically, you risk being rejected for being too much. If you hide your authentic self, you feel disconnected and unknown. So this creates a constant internal tension, a chronic sense that you have to choose between authenticity and connection. But the truth is, real connection requires authenticity. When you're hiding your true self, you're not actually connected. You're connected to a performance, not to you. I used to leave conversations replaying every word I said, analyzing whether I'd been too enthusiastic, too emotional, too intense. I lived in a constant state of post-conversational shame, convinced that I revealed too much, or that I just shared too much, or that I was just too much. And this was exhausting. It kept me from being present in relationships because I was always monitoring myself. And when you try to have a conversation while simultaneously suppressing your need to stem, forcing eye contact that feels uncomfortable, monitoring your volume, your tone, translating neurotypical social cues, managing sensory overwhelm, trying to appear interested in small talk, it's like trying to perform a complex dance while wearing shoes that don't fit while speaking a foreign language. Exhausting doesn't even begin to cover it. So what does healing look like? How do we repair these nervous system patterns and come back home to our authentic selves? The first step is understanding that healing happens through relationship with yourself and with others who can see and accept your authentic self. Your nervous system learned that authenticity was dangerous in relationship, so it needs to relearn that authenticity is safe in relationship. This is called co-regulation. Your nervous system calming and healing in the presence of another regulated nervous system. Find safe people. But before we can do some deep relational healing, we often need to do some individual nervous system regulation work. This might include somatic practices, gentle movement, breath work, progressive muscle relaxation, trauma-informed yoga therapy. Then there's nervous system regulation techniques. This might include an ice pack on your chest, some ice cubes in a Ziploc bag where you can fidget with them. You can put it in your armpit if that's accessible. Use the ice pack to get your nervous system regulated. You can use grounding, humming, sitting out in nature, breath work, but ice pack is fast and easily accessible for most of the parts. Most times, sorry, not most parts. Mindfulness practices, being present, being mindful, that goes back to grounding in the present moment, using your 5 senses to say what you hear, see, smell, taste, what your clothes feel like, wiggle your toes, what's going on. And boundary work, learning to distinguish between your emotions and energy and others. This is especially important for sensitive folks who tend to absorb other people's emotions. So creating boundaries, boundary work is important. And part of your healing journey involves learning to honor and accommodate your neurological needs instead of constantly trying to override them. This might mean allowing yourself to stim when you need to self-regulate, honor your need for routine and predictability, setting boundaries around sensory overwhelm, taking breaks when you need them, pursuing your special interests with joy instead of shame, and communicating in ways that feel natural to you. The goal isn't to eliminate your neurodivergent traits, it's to learn how to honor them while building skills to navigate a neurotypical world. One of the most important parts of nervous system healing is learning what safety actually feels like in your body. Many of us have been in survival mode for so long that we've forgotten what regulation feels like. So safety might be a softening in your chest, deeper, easier breathing, relaxed shoulders and jaws, curiosity instead of anxiety, presence instead of dissociation. So here's what I have for you. A 5-step plan to come home to yourself. Step 1, we just spoke about it. Nervous system regulation. Do some morning grounding. Start each day by placing your feet on the earth or simply sitting quietly and feeling your connection to your body. Breath work, box breathing, square breathing. As long as your exhale is longer than your inhale, that's deep breathing. That's breath work. Body awareness check-ins, set alarms, timers, notes to check in with yourself several times a day. Scan your body. What sensations do you notice? Where are you holding tension? Gentle movement, dancing, tai chi, Pilates, yoga, gentle yoga, not vinyasa yoga, not anything that's going to make you sweat or get your heart rate up. Give yourself the stim. Give yourself permission to stim. This might be hand flapping, rocking, fidgeting with objects, or making sounds. Your stims are regulation tools, not problems to fix. Accommodate your sensory needs. Wear comfortable clothes. Use noise-canceling headphones. Adjust lighting. Avoid textures that bother you. And manage your energy. Recognize that masking and navigating a neurotypical world takes extra energy. Build in recovery time. This isn't laziness. This is necessary maintenance for your neurological system. Stage 2, reparenting your inner child. Much of the too much wounding happened when you were young and vulnerable. Part of healing involves giving your inner child what they needed but didn't receive. Acceptance, celebration, and unconventional love. So have a dialogue with your inner child. Set aside some time to connect with the part of you that learned to hide. Ask your younger self, what do you need then that you didn't get? What do you need now? And listen without judgment. Celebrate your authentic traits. Make a list of all the ways you're too much. And make that list also note that how much you're too much has served you and others. And when you feel shame about your intensity or sensitivity, read this list as a reminder of how amazing your gifts are. Give yourself permission to feel deeply, to be excited, to need connection, to feel different, to be you. Just give yourself permission to be you. And then have some creative expression. Engage in activities that allow your authentic self to emerge. Art, write, music, dance, whatever calls you. Just express yourself. Stage 3, boundary setting and self-advocacy. Identify your needs. Get clear about what you need to feel safe, regulated, and authentic. This might include alone time, processing time, sensory accommodations, emotional support, or a space to express yourself. And learn to communicate your needs. This is part about making the boundaries. I need some quiet time to process this. I work better with background noise. I'd like to share something I'm excited about. Do you have the bandwidth to listen? Communicate your needs. Set limits. Practice saying no to situations, relationships, or demands that require you to betray your authentic self. I won't be able to attend that event. The noise level is overwhelming for me. I need to step back from this conversation. It's activating some old wounds. It's safe to speak your needs. Protect your energy. Practice energetic boundaries through visualization, physical movement, or other techniques that help you stay centered in yourself. Make requests for your accommodations. Learn to ask how to accommodate. Learn to ask for accommodation at work, at school, or in relationships. This might include flexible schedules, written instructions, sensory modifications, or communication preferences. Masking awareness. Start noticing when you're masking and practicing gradually reducing it in safe environments. And budget your energy. Recognize that social situations and masking require energy to be expended. So plan accordingly by scheduling recovery time and limiting your commitments when you're needed. Sorry, I'm mumbling. The background noise is getting a little high if you can't hear it. And I'm having a hard time slowing down. So energy budget your energy. Let's take a nice deep breath. Let it out through the mouth. We got 2 more stages. Stage 4, build authentic relationships. Healing happens in relationships. You need experiences of being seen, accepted, and celebrated for who you truly are. Seek out your people, online communities, support groups, community events, coffee and chat, book clubs, silent book clubs, craft and coffee. There's so many things. Be the kind of person you want to attract by showing up authentically. And communicate your needs in a relationship. Practice asking for what you need from friends, families, and partners. Set relationship boundaries. Learn to recognize when someone consistently makes you feel like you need to be smaller, quieter, or different. These relationships may need limits or may not be sustainable. Recovery from relationship wounds. If you're in relationships where you've been consistently told you're too much, you may need to have a direct conversation about changing these patterns or seeking professional support to navigate these dynamics. Couples counseling and family therapy are very helpful. Stage 5, last stage, live your authentic life, sis. This is the ultimate goal in healing. It's not just to feel better about yourself, but to actually live as yourself, to make choices from to make choices from authenticity rather than from the wounded adaptations you've developed as protection. Oof, my bad. So living your authentic life. Clarify your values. Get clear about what actually matters to you, and separate from what you think should matter or what others matter to you. Let your authentic values guide your decisions. Like, pick your values based on what's true for you, not what you think other people think you need to do. Consider whether your work allows you to use your gifts and authentic traits. If not, what small steps could you take toward more alignment? Make time for activities that allow your authentic self to emerge and be expressed. And advocate. Consider how your unique gifts might serve others or contribute to causes you care about. Often the traits that make us too much, that have made us too much as children, make us powerful advocates and healers as adults. Curate your environment. Gradually shape your environment to support your authentic self. Start making bigger life choices from authenticity rather than from should or fear. This might involve changes to relationships, career, living situations, or your lifestyle. That's my 5 steps, sis. That's it. But here's your reminder. Healing is not linear. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to feel normal. You're going to feel abnormal. You don't have to do this all alone. Seek support, seek groups, seek therapy. I'm a therapist. I'm a life coach. Meet with me. You can blah, 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 blah. You can click on the link in my show notes, set up a consultation with me, free 15 minutes, and see if we're a good fit so that I can help you along your journey. Realize that your small steps count. You're not going to transform overnight. Not everything's going to be perfect in a month. It's going to take time. It matters. Pace yourself. Don't compare yourself to anyone else's healing journey. And you don't have to earn love by being less sensitive, being less intense, being less you. You are worthy of celebration just as you are. When you hide your authentic self, you rob the world of your unique contribution. When you show up as you truly are, you give others permission to do the same. Your healing creates ripples that extend far beyond your individual experience. How about joining me to place both hands on your heart? Feel that rhythm. That is your truth. Now say to yourself, I am not too much. I am exactly enough. I am worthy of love exactly as I am. My sensitivity is a gift. My intensity is beautiful. My authentic self is what the world has been waiting for. Take a nice, deep breath and let those words settle into your cells, into your nervous system, and into your heart. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today, for being tender, and for considering the possibility that you might not need to fix it all after all, right? That you are just amazing as you are. It's about breaking the shells of you, letting the parts of you fall away that you've been masking, that you've been pretending, and just let your true self shine. Remember, you have never been the problem. You have always and will always be the gift. Be gentle with yourself, honor your authentic expression, and remember, in a world that often asks us to be smaller, choosing to be fully yourself is a radical act of love. If this episode helped you feel more understood and less alone, please share it with another neurodivergent woman who might need it. I'd love to hear from you. Message me, comment, follow below. If you really like this episode, or if you just want to say hi, send me a heart emoji. Whatever platform you're on, just give me a heart emoji. I'd love to hear from you. I offer private sessions for virtual therapy, like I mentioned earlier. So reach out to me in the show notes if you would like for us to get together and work together. Also, there's a beautiful Spotify playlist that is just for women, empowering women that I have curated from some good artists. But yeah, you're never too much, my dears. You're never too late, and you're never too far gone. And you don't have to figure this out all alone. Until next time, may you be happy and free. May mine and your healing ripple outward to bless the world with happiness and freedom. Take care of you, and I'll see you soon.